We're doing a reading. It's just a check-in. It's just a little check-in. The star on the bottom. That was a good one. A good shuffle. Sometimes I think about how I used to be like, one day I'll be good at shuffling. I did it, guys. I learned how to shuffle. It only took 6 months. Maybe I need to learn more tricks now. Okay. Current energy is judgment. Energy to embrace is the Hanged Man. Stop. Energy to embrace is the Artist. My friends, these are all major arcana. This is judgment in the current energy with the Hanged Man in the energy to embrace. The energy to release is the Artist. So the Artist is about understanding our creative potential with, you know, there are certain things that if we think about certain things, if you only think certain things are possible in a certain way, you simply can't transcend any circumstance that abides by those parameters or rules. So right now, collectively, as a society, as a world, and individually, we're realizing like, it actually doesn't, I actually don't have to do it this way every time or limit myself to thinking this is the way it has to be. But I mean, the Artist in the release position, that's our artistic, co-creative ability to change the circumstances of our lives. Being able to remove the things in our own minds, the way we mentally construct or deconstruct things, you know, like the rat maze again, right? What situations are you working with? What pinball wedges direct your behavior on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, throughout arcs of your life? These are the types of things that we are starting to understand are a little bit more movable, but it requires a big internal shift around why we didn't think we could move it in the first place. And so releasing the Artist energy, embracing the Hanged Man, I think that it's time for us again to take a different look at how we think. I think we developed some competency in the last couple months around knowing with clarity what we want to release. Once you know what it is and you can identify yourself, I'll put a meme right here. You start to be able to repeat patterns less and less because they don't serve you, but the consciousness hasn't caught up, and that's why we go through the phases of integration to witness full, changed, lasting behavior. You know, changed behavior. There you go. So embracing the Hanged Man, it's saying, hey guys, we're at a deeper level of the twisty now. So what we're looking at a new way is inside the thing that we're already changing, but we have to kind of hop in just a little bit deeper. Oh, look, there's another knot to untangle in here. That's what we're getting to. And how you're going to find it is something that's happening right now that's being rocked. Like something's changing or you're dealing with something. The biggest changing event in your life right now, I feel. Now let's get a clarifier. I'm using Psychic Tarot by John Holland. I just shuffled these guys a few times. I'm going to cut the deck, I'm being told. It's the World card. Number 21 is the World. It's the end, right? The stop. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I was like, you know what? I think that we really have closed out this huge, big cycle. And yeah, there's shorter cycles. There's 4 or 5 years. There's 10 years. There's just the past 6 months. I've been on this little journey, right, of recording videos, but 5 months. Universe, right? Again, talking about co-creative potentials and being able to access the energy, I put this in my post yesterday, the energy that creates worlds, that flows through you. It's the energy that created your body. It's the energy that will be able to perfectly design, with the coded instruction that's written in the DNA, every new being who ever comes into this world that comes out of her. Formless space, dust, particles. This is such a big energy. I can't even talk about it. I just want to put on a gown and lie on a chaise and just throwing it back to impressionistic. I just want to enter an impressionistic painting and lie down and just enjoy, because it's such an intensely heavy energy. I don't think it's as light. I'm very buoyant at this time, going through some pretty challenging things that might shock people. I'm not gonna talk about it, but also just feeling really good because of the deep sense of knowing that when we have judgment in the world, there's something that I can rely on within this. There's something that we can rely on no matter how hard that things may get or become, that has this very intentional movement to it. Why? Well, we're embracing the Hanged Man and we're re-examining how we thought we understood the patterns that we're trying to unwrite and interrupt. But there's a new tier, T-I-E-R, to the thing that we've been detangling that requires our attention. And so to set ourselves free right now, stop. It's the waiting game. This card is representative. I love this card. It's kind of like the Two of Wands because it has our purple border. It's one of the Wands cards too. A choice, an option. Energy to release. Oh, wow. Memories of love, you see. So this being more of Six of Cups energy. Okay, so we're releasing the artist and not undoing, but stepping away from that conscious connection to even more manifesting energy, right? In order to reassess if that way, that plan, that draft, if his sketches even make sense still, right? Or if there's something that needs to be erased because these lines need to connect instead. I'm getting a little bit of a Three of Swords, Ten of Wands thing with this because it has to do, Memories of Love, we're in Cups territory. Releasing disappointment energy for things that haven't even come to pass. Very interesting thing happened to me today where I woke up and I didn't feel like I had slept at all, but I had a very good sleep. It's rare for me. Slept the whole night. Like a little baby, I slept. Oh, it was so awesome. I love sleep. But I woke up and because I had slept so deeply, I was like, I'm ready. Hi, day. Let's go. And I always immediately, one of the reasons why I love my pets so much is because they're very close by. Whenever I wake up, wherever I am, they're always close by. They're not here now, but they're downstairs. And, it helps me start my day off on the right note because I greet them. I tell them I love them. They come see me. They're like, oh, she's alive again. Let's go see her. And it's just the best way to prime the canvas of my day for success. Even if things will go wrong, at least you're getting off on the right foot. So, certain loose ends, we could say, from yesterday or the day before, something immediately came into my mind and I'm like, no. That's not a problem today. I don't relate to not because I'm in denial or I'm not handling it, but because the way we operate, we wake, we sleep, the grind culture, blah, blah, blah. You wake up and you're automatically, there was a state of pure peace, You see a line, like a radio frequency, and there's music and it's at night, just peace. And a lot of people don't take that beat to let that peace bleed into their day. They automatically sync right up with the narratives and the cacophony of all of the clamor that is the burdens, really. Ten of Wands stuff, but more so just the responsibilities of how demanding a lot of people's lives and schedules truly are. I typically don't have, anxiety creeping in on me early in the morning anyway, but I felt that more than I typically do today. And I was like, I simply don't want this. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about a cognitive and dialectical behavioral therapy skill set that I have. I called it good signs. All these little symbols in my little tattoos, all of them are dialectical behavioral therapy skills. They're mindfulness tools. I'm like the guy from that movie Memento where he gets amnesia and he had to leave little notes around for himself to remember who he was and what he was doing. I just got them tattooed on my arms because I always can see them. And they really helped me in my healing. And one of them is scissors. They're right here, little pair of scissors. These things are set up like totem poles, right, with these little icons. Scissors are all about seeing just mental activity. I see rainbow ribbons. That's how I've always seen my own mental activity. And so the scissors come in, little itty bitty pair of like really sharp little snippers. They're little, angel scissors, and they snip, 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 and they cut them. One continuous flowing waveform thought body. They cut through it, and then all the little ribbons float away. And because I've done that so many times, it works for me, and I trust it, and I'm just like, snip, snip, snip. Bye. It's not because I'm skirting responsibilities or not addressing things. It's because I'm offering myself the clarity of peace for as long as I can while not getting triggered, throughout the day. So I'm getting that could be beneficial for some people right now to very intentionally protect the energy that you wake in. It's the type of thing where if somebody goes through a horrible tragedy or an accident or something horrible, God forbid, I pray everyone's doing really well in avoiding tragedy. They'll wake up and they'll be like, was it real? For a second, they don't even remember. Why is that, right? We're changing states of consciousness during those moments. And then it kind of all comes back. And you sink immediately into remembering what is true for you on the day that it is that you're waking up in. So as much as I can, as early as I can, I to be honest with you, the first words out of my mouth every single day are the same. And it's a secret. You can't know what it is. It has to do with what I'm doing, what I'm manifesting and stuff. But, it's a very good practice to develop some consistency where I can get up in, to be a fully conscious person, I can get up in the middle of the night. I'll be saying affirmations on my way to the toilet just because I'm like, we're still in this simulation. Okay, great. Asleep, awake, day or night, stressed, happy. There's still this managing of energy and the human experience. So let's get back to the reading. I want to talk about memories of love and the Cups card as this sadder energy. And I was talking about 3 of Swords and 10 of Wands from the reading of the other day. But it's like we're avoiding something. Thank you. It's like we're avoiding something that hasn't happened yet. Why? Because we're trying to draft an escape route or a plan around it. Here's why this is problematic. I don't know what it is, right? You don't either, apparently. This is what we're here to figure out. The problem with that is that by drafting a detour route around an obstacle in the plan, you're acknowledging that the obstacle exists. You're manifesting the obstacle and potentially the bypassing of said obstacle, but why not just manifest the absence of the obstacle? That's what we're waiting to see here. That's what we're taking another look at. Why not just manifest the absence of that obstacle? Now, somebody might say, well, that's what bypassing the obstacle is. You manifest a way to get around it. No, there's a difference. There's a difference. In fact, I had to give a presentation today to a group of people who I see all the time. I'm relatively good at public speaking. It makes me nervous as heck, just like it would anybody else. And sometimes, as you see on the videos, do you want to come to me, sweet? You can. I'll start to stutter and get confused, if not on these videos, because I'm truly alone. But it's the same type of way where my speech will glitch up. Well, can he not access me? Well, why don't we go around, hun? Okay, so I woke up and I was like, okay, where am I? Who am I? What time is it? What day is it? Where are we at? And then I was like, ooh, I got to do that this morning. Immediately, I was like, ugh, okay. I started thinking about prayer and I was like, I hope it goes great. But then I was like, listen, all of my self-talk right now is assuming that it's some obstacle that I'm not just going to absolutely crush, I can nail it. I got it in me. But when we think about something that we haven't done yet, and there's so much potential to not feel good about it, why go in that direction at all? So this morning I was like, just whatever, you know, not like, again, it gets, for me, it's such a delicate balance. By the way, I think I've said the word again like 4,000 times in this reading. I'm so sorry. I irritate myself sometimes with my redundancy and inability to say one thing without getting distracted. But there's something really important within this energy because of the judgment. It's like it's being smoked out, the truth, out of our lives, right? This mist is kind of seeping in to all of the empty spaces in what we have around us and within us. And it's almost like it's a special color of mist, okay? When it touches something, like an indicator, they have these things in cat litter where if the cat pees, it turns a color and you can detect an illness, right? Or a, imbalance. It's like the mist touches certain things within our lives and it turns bright yellow and you're like, how did I not see, how did I not know, how did I not see, how did I not feel this incongruency? It's because we haven't been this deep, right? The space for the mist to seep into, haven't been able to touch that yet to highlight it, right? It's not going to turn yellow unless it gets all the way in to be able to interact with that. So I'm sensing this misaligned thing where we've gotten some kind of footing on, we'll just say self-improvement to be as general as possible recently. Some type of stable footing on self-improvement, but there's this funny energy sneaking in here and it threatens to put us into that state that I was talking about earlier in the video where I'm like, wait, am I wrong? It's like this inner child thing, right? I'm like, I don't want to be. Like, damn it, I thought I was on track. You know? For us though, it's not a bad thing. We're not far off. It's just that we need to open our eyes a little bit more and see where the yellow mist has populated. And this is strange. Is this a game from the old-fashioned days? You know those really big skirts? I'm seeing like a woman with a really big skirt and there's like little children and they all like scurry in and like get underneath the big, that's weird, but it's like we're sweeping more children into our skirt. I don't like that. No, it's a game. It's a game from the olden days or something, but there would be, it's like we're sweeping a couple more elements into our self-improvement plan that we didn't, potentially, depending on what state you're in mentally, emotionally, spiritually, this could, I know at a certain point in my journey, it would have derailed me and I would have been like, well then, never mind. I give up. This isn't that big though, okay? So let's just hang on tight and not worry. It's about the micro adjustments that are going to get us, but it's an important one. So it might be a small one. It's not a big deal unless we fuss over it and make it a big deal. And again, there's been a lot of narrative for me in my channeling and all the messages around ego drama lately. So the ego doesn't necessarily love patience and waiting. This is why everyone's on their phones in waiting rooms right now. Thousands of people at this very moment are sitting in a waiting room on their phone. Thousands of them. You just know it. That's what they're all doing. It's because we can't just sit in discomfort, Wouldn't it be really fucking creepy if you walked into a waiting room and sat down and everybody had their phone in their lap and they were just staring straight ahead? That's how I'd be looking in the waiting rooms. For me, it's awkward. I'm like, well, I'm always multitasking on my phone, but just to sit here and stare at it, like, okay. I mean, I do that at home, of course, in my comfort, but in a waiting room, I actually just tend to meditate because the dynamics in a circle of people, sure, they can have rows sometimes, but a lot of the times in waiting rooms, we get perimeter seating. A lot of the times in waiting rooms, you're with complete strangers. And being locked into a circle, that's a very, I talked about the potentially fake whatever ritual video at the CERN facility. Standing in a circle, right? There's so many different things around rituals and all the things that the media has been made to look like, oh, it's just spooky witch cartoon stuff. But it has to do with the energy dynamics of placements with things. People in a circle are powerful. In fact, when I met the woman who did my healing hypnotherapy regression session, I had a vision within the first hour of meeting her, and I saw us holding hands in a big circle in the woods. And I was like, oh, great, future timeline. I'm going to work with her. We're going to work together. Anyway, the ego with the waiting game, right? Top and bottom of the deck from this deck, this one, what's the hidden energy? Wait. Hidden energy and biggest obstacle. Hidden, biggest obstacle. We're not unfamiliar to these fellows. The hidden energy is the Eight of Cups, and the other day we saw the Seven of Cups, and I was saying, okay, yes, there's some overwhelm here. I was talking about a new lease on life often coming from a new lease on love. Feeling overwhelmed, potentially having options, not knowing if we should go back and go forward, or if, going back might help us move forward. There was confusion in the energy from the new moon reading. 2222 as I look up, 448. And this is the Eight of Cups. So I was saying, if there isn't something to, if you feel like a monkey falling from a tree and you're trying to catch branches as they pass by, but they all snap as you try to grab onto something stable, that can also be what the Seven of Cups energy is like. There's overwhelm and there's choices, but they're actually not viable, right? And you try to grab onto one and it snaps and it crumbles away. And so sometimes when that energy gives way, maybe something else comes in to help us make decisions while we're in that energy, but it can also lead to a new beginning and a venturing off into other territory. So, I got the sense the other day with that overwhelm, especially, we've got the waiting game and the energy, the advice. There's a little bit more of that here. So what I'm getting off of it is like the advice is to be present just with the little subtle things that we might not have seen before or that are only available to see now, and kind of just account for those in our game plans. And know that it's a time of kind of moving in a different direction, even if we haven't initiated that yet. The biggest obstacle, though, is the King of Swords. We've talked about him for the past two readings. I was saying, we don't want to do things by force. But he came out in our a supportive placement then the other day, and it was like just being certain, right? Making sure that the little birds that are giving me information are well informed. And by that, I don't know. That could all be within you. It doesn't mean that people are actually coming and giving you your intel so that you can make your decisions. I don't know. Maybe you're a lord or something. But it's in the biggest obstacle position. So perhaps we're grappling with being able to strike a balance that the King of Swords is capable of striking around not forcing things, but being, decisive and intentional with our moves and our words, our actions and our embodiments of different energies. Clarify the hidden energy as the Eight of Pentacles. 7, it's the crown chakra. What's interesting to me too is I was talking about Seven of Cups being overwhelmed. Earlier, I was talking about pressure in the head with the third eye in the crown chakra, and we've got 7, 8. Oh, yeah. Crown chakra. There's a huge opening right now. A lot of people, one of my biggest struggles and why I appeared so incredibly bipolar when I was younger was because you can have big, big spiritual expansions and you can be accessing a lot of high vibrational information. And then it's very hard, kite and anchor, to stay grounded. Well, we're not going to do that here. Hey, pet interruption. Sorry. Okay, so I was talking about pressure in the head, this sensation. And it's very hard to do, if you don't ground in addition to opening to higher energy, then you can get overstimulated and not be able to, who knows? There's so many different ways that this can manifest and feel, and I can talk for hours about how it felt and looked for me, but it still happens sometimes. In fact, I wake up and more and more, especially recently in the morning, I end up channeling a lot just naturally. I wake up and I'm getting messages, and so a lot of the times if I have a morning commute, which I don't every day, sometimes I don't go anywhere at all, I end up just channeling a lot of information on my drives in the morning because I'm driving, and I'll talk about the energy of driving, moving through space, right? Changing your velocity and how that functions when it comes to manifestation and channeling. But then I'm on this like high flying vibration of like interpreting messages and stuff at high speeds, like high level information. And I get in with a bunch of people and I'm supposed to be like it's a different mode of being that's not always socially acceptable. It's not about me or upsetting anybody or being weird or anything. It's just I have a hard time, right, grounding my energy and coming into a different kind of space. And so if you are having the light headaches, right, this new direction, all of this stuff, again with the world and the universe card, okay? And we've seen the Tower a little bit in the past couple weeks. It's a really good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Even if we don't understand how certain things are going to end up turning around at this point, there's a lot of really good things coming in, and they come from this expansion of being able to open the crown chakra more and more, and also just receiving downloads from the crown. If you're resonating with the pressure in the third eye or expanded spiritual downloads or new awarenesses, that is about your crown chakra. And you can think about light, you know, white, bright, unconditional light, or golden light, or silver light, or whatever color light you want. Mine's iridescent rainbow. Comes into my crown, and then I bring it all the way down, and then I put it all the way into the center of the earth. Not only am I grounding into like the floor, all the way down into the earth, so that I don't float away. So that's a good practice right now. We can double that up with our box breathing. Just think about sending, it could even be a dotted black line, you know. I love the infinite malleable nature of spiritual tools and making things work for you, because it's like being in being in a thought experiment in the astral, and someone being like, well, why don't you have a cup of tea? And I'm like, well, I don't have any. And then it's like, doop, it appears, right? We can make the things that we need to process and flow energy in a new way. You could imagine just a dotted line, you know, coming into your head and going all the way down, but it doesn't stop at the base of your spine. It goes all the way down out of your body. It goes all the way into the center of the earth. That's the energy that comes through, that delivers your new awarenesses. And not only does it have you, it's got you, it holds you and your body and your energy, but it takes that togetherness of high frequency vibration coming in, being accepted in your body, and it grounds you both into the earth, the process of running frequency. That's why it's called channeling. It's a channel. It's a channel. Channeling information and energy and frequency. I'm going to share this really briefly because my guides have asked me to. Okay, so it's a new kind of relationship that I'm having with my own channeling in the past week, where before things would happen a little bit more instantaneously. I'm getting to see and understand my own abilities in a way that's a lot more punctuated. As far as if you ever see me and I'm talking and I just space out and it's almost like, tap, tap, are you frozen? I'm just like, and then I just start talking like, you know, nothing ever happened. A lot of the times what's going on is that I'm conversing with my guides telepathically to get clarity on what it is that I'm going to be saying. Sometimes I don't have to space out, because if you think of like how it looks on a circuitry board, it's like, okay, here's the idea. Here are the different ways we could talk about it. That's where that tangent's going to go. That's where that one's going to go. It happens very, very, very quickly, and I don't have to say certain questions out loud. It's like we're braiding the thoughts together, and they show me, and I choose, and that's where I say, it's where I'm like, I don't want to do that one. I swipe it away. We're not going down that one today. And they'll either get rid of it or put it somewhere and bring it back when it's time, you know? And this all has come about, as I've mentioned in the past, through years of like disciplining around how I understand my ability to channel. Creating it, asking like, hey, can you guys make this work for me a little bit? Like, I need to understand what's happening, right? You can ask to have a little bit more clarity on how you receive new energy through your crown and stuff. But, and then if you ever hear me be like, I'll ask a question, right, to the thin air, and be like, what's it called? Certain times I don't have to ask those questions out loud in order to get that clarity. Sometimes I do. And other times, if I'm confused about what I'm getting and trying to communicate about, it's because the little thought trails, again, the rainbow ribbons, right? They're already kind of spiraling away into irrelevance, and a new thing is coming, and I'm still trying to get after the old one. And I'm like, all right, I guess we're done with that. And that's when I'm like, can I get clarity on that? Because I'm not able to telepathically braid with it anymore because it's being moved out. So that's all very interesting, because it's very literal for me. And I think it will help people understand their own brains and giftings to access certain things like this. So what I'd like to do now is, well, let's get a clarifier for the biggest obstacle being the 10 of Swords, or the King of Swords. Wow. It's the 2 of Cups, my friends. This is a really beautiful card in this deck. 2 of Cups. So interesting. Yeah, okay, so energy to release, okay? Memories of love. We've got the 2 of Cups and the 6 of Cups. So more and more throughout this reading, I'm understanding the same thing that I thought I was understanding the other day around the fact that this is emotional in nature. So there's some type of resistance with this being the obstacle. It's almost like the King of Swords doesn't know how to King of Cups. He doesn't know how to do it. It's like the King of Cups would be like, oh yeah, those are my 2 cups. I know about those. They come from my kingdom. And the King of Swords is like, I mean, I've got 2 swords over here. It's the King of Swords and the King of Cups, right? There are certain elements too. I mean, let's go into it. Elementals, okay. Elemental energy. Certain people, I, for instance, am a Queen of Wands, Queen of Cups. I'd love to say I'm an Empress all the time. I'm not. I'm not. It's very hard to attain and maintain that energy. That's why when I talk about the Empress card, the Empress energy, I'm like, I meditate with that card. I'll take it right out of my deck and I'll bring it downstairs. Because I channel that energy. I'm moving into that energy, right? But I'm a Cancer sun. Intuitive, maternal, nurturing. That's Queen of Cups all day. But I have a Sagittarius moon and an Aries rising. Those are very fiery, weird, mischievous, bold placements that make me very Queen of Wands. This isn't my preference, right? I talked about having travel issues on the way home from Vermont and like being like, okay, well, how are we going to fix it? Like, that's not how I prefer to be, but I can do that. And as I age, I'm getting better at softening the impact of that because it can be really intimidating for people. And, I've had people who get to know me and they're like, I just thought you were a bitch. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I can see that, but I'm not. You can't really control how people are, I've talked about this before too, how people think you are. I could actually be very decisive and intense and not be a bitch, I could be a very kind person who's just needing to do things in a certain way, right? So these combinations, I tend to think of Cups and Swords as being more like opposite. Fire and water is quite opposite, but how it comes together in my birth chart, it makes a ton of sense for who I am and what I'm trying to do on Earth. So, air sign, male. It's like, regardless of how we see ourselves or how we've allowed other people to define us, because sometimes we just willingly accept these labels about certain things within us, like even like nicknames and stuff over time or whatever it is. We can be defined in certain ways, but are they accurate or true to us, or are they limiting, or are they supportive? So I could just, and I often do, I tell people I'm a Cancer sun, whatever. Cancer zodiac sign. But the fire placements are important because nobody is just one thing. We're all very dynamic. So the biggest challenge right now is pivoting into a different aspect of our beingness that we haven't accessed as much because it does not align with our ego's conventional understanding of our own identity or how it's been for a long time. And it's like, it's having to walk 2 worlds at the same time. And there's nothing wrong with King of Swords energy. We like it. It gets things done. It's very logical though. It's very logical, and it also possesses intelligence. So it's IQ versus EQ. The secret about this is that there's no secret. The secret is that there's no secret when it comes to matters of the heart and emotions. It's just about, well, vulnerability, the hardest things on earth to do, vulnerability, honesty, right? Sometimes we don't understand how great the lengths are that society and programming goes to make sure that people feel unsafe in being vulnerable or open and honest with each other. Or like, think about this. Think about having a thing to say or a thing that you feel, and it's like, they're not going to get it. It's not even worth it. I'm not even going to say it. That can be, sure, you could be accurately assessing a situation and being like, it's not even worth it for me to get involved or say something. But if that's what you do most of the time, then you might be blocking your throat chakra by not flowing the energy. And also, the crown, or also the solar plexus, of thinking that your ideas are worthwhile, or, I'm not going to pretend to know the situation, because I don't. But let's just get back into this, okay? So 2 emotional cards. 6 of Cups we often see pictured with 2 boys looking at flowers. There's water in the cups. The heart is full. The emotions are full. But because it is boys in childhood, there's a nostalgia. There's also this like camaraderie connection, so that the 6 of Cups can talk about memories of being connected to people from childhood, or past love connections, or people that you've known from past lives. There's a lot of different ways that we can go with it. Now, as it's pictured in this deck, I tend to see it as being somewhat melancholic, because it's like he's releasing these candles, right? These flames into the water and setting them free, and they have ripples, right? Each memory possesses the ability to ripple out and create more emotional resonance within the body. It's like when we think about certain things, our mood changes. You can choose to put yourself into a worse or a better mood. And it's like our energy to release is the idea that we have to draft up a crafty way to avoid any sort of resemblant discomfort to things we've endured in the past, This is the clarifier for the biggest obstacle. I'm going to shuffle. I'm going to let it be seen on camera. Well, first, what am I getting? I want to know about this more. So the 8 of Cups with the crown chakra card, that's in hidden energy. I'm going to get a clarifier for that. And then I'm going to get a clarifier for the artist, the King of Swords, memories of love and spiritual union. Okay, because I'm seeing them as a quadruplet now. Quadruplet? Foursome. Quadruplet, what is that? Okay, so shuffling out a clarifier for our hidden energy being the 8 of Cups and our crown chakra. Interesting. It's the Knight of Wands. Oh, also, okay, last message around what we were talking about just a moment ago with like, nobody is just one thing. Even if you are used to being called the leader or the note taker or the you're the problem solver, you're the this person. What are you? Who are you? How do people talk about you? Who do you believe yourself to be? Whatever that's like, it doesn't mean that you don't possess other qualities, even if you've never worked that angle, right? And I think a lot of people do operate without embodying their full potential more often than not. Just because the world we live in is not designed to help people access their full potential by any means. So, top and bottom. Eight of Cups, crown chakra, and sort of a brash, impulsive action movement forward that's led by, honestly, it's the wand in his hand. So they're both going somewhere, right? But when we've got these emotions cards, the 8 of Cups, the purpose of the whole journey is to go somewhere else to fill the cups. They're empty. But he's got 8. He's got the capacity to love, and we always think about the moon, him being under the moon. Perhaps he works by day, but he doesn't embrace the nocturnal quality of his own subconscious, which is the other half of the coin, right? The sun and the moon. Our conscious mind is just one half of the equation. There is activity that takes place there, and sometimes we must go on a little journey under the light of the intuition or the aspect of divine feminine energy that exists within all people in order to find that. And so I'm getting that there's, you know, there's a fire within that process, even though we're patient about it. There's a lot of hypocrisy in certain energies when you get more and more and more and more detailed. And I'm going to talk about the grand cosmic joke hypocrisy soon. More and more. Because it's just popping off right now. I see examples of the grand cosmic joke hypocrisy everywhere, and it's wild. It's wild. Right? I think the more masterful you become, you end up, instead of going back and forth between like, I'm totally elated, my crown chakra, or I was like, I'm totally depressed. It's like, eventually there's nowhere to go. You're just there. You're neither. You're both. You're coping. You're managing. You know, you're outside of the way that those things used to toss you around so much. And because of that, your external life and the circumstances you've manifested are equally reflective of the fact that you're not on top of the world and completely floundering. You're doing a little bit better, but you got to sustain whatever it is that you're trying to move into in order for the physical world to actually manifest. Oh my God. Wait, what did I ask? It's the Tower and the Devil. Good golly. I just happened to say top and bottom of the deck and pull these cards. I didn't look at them, but I mean, this is the clarifier. That I took for this. Top and bottom. This is succinct enough. We're going to talk about these cards with the energies that are behind these, and I'll get to that. But just to wrap this up. So there's something about the nuanced ability to, he's not moving anywhere yet, but he's clearly got some ground to traverse. I'm not saying that you're about to be going on a 8-month-long journey and you got to just put everything on hold, you know, not like that. This could happen within a day. It could happen within a month. Who knows? It's about taking things from a fresh new approach because we have more things available to consider than ever before. You know, the mist is seeping in and it's changing color. It's highlighting things that haven't even been able to be stirred within us somehow because they were nested underneath other things that we didn't think about. Very interesting. In any moment, regardless of how experienced or wise you are, you can kind of become anew. Like, fascinating. I'll just say this. Hopefully it doesn't derail me too much, right? We can do this. The other day, I was standing in a field that's quite close to my house, and I often go down there and let the dog run around, you know? And I didn't even notice it, but for weeks, I've been going at the same time of day. I go all the time. I've been going for years, you know? And for the past couple months in particular, I was walking to the exact same spot within the field, and then I would stare up at the sky. And it was yesterday that I did it, maybe for the 10th time in a row, you know? Like every 2 weeks I would walk out to the same exact patch of grass and stand there and look up at the sky. And it just consciously clicked into place where I'm like, oh, this field is really appropriately located. Like I don't really have access to, well, that's not true. It's the closest expanse under the stars with, you know, there's tons of light pollution, but it's as good as I can have access to without getting in the car, right? I can walk here to this field. It dawned on me that I felt like I had subconsciously been leading myself there because I get channeled information when I go and I'm under the stars and I'm looking at them. And in that moment that I was like, I guess I have been making a pattern out of this. I was like witnessing how guided I've been to do that repeatedly because I get a lot of spiritual information when I'm in this field every time, most of the time. Take a lot of recordings there for myself. I don't tend to post those, but in that moment, I felt like a baby seal swaddled in a blanket with a smooth brain. I was like, I know nothing. I'm but a pawn on the earthly stage. I can't even tell when I'm in a pattern. I didn't even notice that I've been doing this. And then it was revealed to me in that moment that there was a reason why. And just like the Stargate in my mind that I saw in the hypnotic regression, it's a place where I can go to do certain things. It just clicked into place and I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I do know that I've been doing this on purpose, but I didn't. This energy is kind of like that, you know? It's like we're aware that we're not aware of things and we're letting them percolate and we're excited about moving forward or like rather ready to change things and do things. And there is the promise of fulfillment involved with that. So how can it not be something that is naturally incentivized, you know, naturally fired up? But the fact remains that it kind of involves this waiting, because judgment in the world are these big, big, big energies that are going to operate within divine timing that we are intentionally always in the dark about. The human experience just wouldn't be the same if we weren't. So I'm going to talk about the Artist and the King of Swords together because they're both, I'm going to stop narrating for a sec. All right, don't forget this was our energy to embrace in addition to waiting game. So potentially putting definitive action on hold to be able to look at things differently, not to wait for the opportune moment, not to hold on to the plan that we have and execute it later, but for the... Really? Come on. I have a big fan in my in the window in my art studio so that the air and the toxins, you know, you got to kind of fumigate. Make sure you have good airflow when you're using chemicals that are involved with oil painting. My cat wanted to get behind the fan on the window and sit on the ledge, and she pushed it off. And I have a pile of glass shards, unfortunately. My ex-boyfriend was playing golf in the house and he hit one of my pictures down, my frames, and it fell. And it broke, and it's so incredibly sharp, and I didn't know how to dispose of it, and I brought the 2 pieces of broken glass up here. Well, I do know how to dispose of it. You can wrap it up in a bunch of plastic, and you know, like, there are ways. But I put it down, and then I, like, tripped over it, kind of, and I cut my ankle pretty badly a few months ago, so I just moved it into the corner, because I don't want to deal with this. It's too sharp. I can't even, like, be around it. And anyway, the fan fell on the glass and further shattered it into a bunch of pieces. So for some reason, I historically have issues with handling broken glass. I get myself into some bad situations. And the universe is like, it's time, or I get rid of your pile of broken glass. So nothing broke any more than it was already broken. Nobody asked, but it's not waiting around for the time to implement the plan that we already have. That is saying, I already have all the information I need, you know, as things change, so too does the approach. And I said this earlier in a video, but I was talking about manifestation. I was saying, sometimes we can limit ourselves because we want something. We have a 5-year plan, but you see yourself in the same world. You see yourself being successful in the world we live in today. We have to add this element where things that you would have 10 years ago, we see things today that would absolutely blow your mind. And at the rate of expansion, the exponential growth rate that we've been experiencing, you know, more intensely since the 90s, you know without a doubt that the world that you're going to be manifesting for, the world that you might live in, even a year from now, it's going to be different. So there's an opportunity here, opportunity being the operative word, around taking advantage of the fact that there's going to be something else to, like I said, with like sweeping the extra periphery bits into the main channel of this plan or this way forward. There's a patience with the waiting game that's for us and our higher benefit right now when it comes to what we need to change at all. So I'm going to put these back here because Memories of Love was in the release position with the Artist. This card was clarifying the King of Swords. And I was saying it's a new part of ourselves. It's almost like elementally, right? Cups and swords, air and water. It's all the elements are meant to be different because they're like the primary colors. They're what you use to mix and make things and alchemize. I was talking to about mechanical and chemical erosion the other day. Things coming together to make new combos. It's not that swords and cups are meant to be more similar by any means. We need both. And if you didn't know this, there are more common signs in the zodiac based on exposures with how certain planets are, you know, rising and setting or at certain different degrees in the zodiac. Like Pisces is one of the least common signs to have as an ascendant or a rising sign. which dictates how you come off to people and stuff, as is Aries, my rising. That's fewer and farther between. Whereas there's a lot of rising signs that, because of the planets or the arrangement of it all, more often is that seen. But it doesn't mean that we can't have all sorts of combinations. So this has to do with allowing the realm of emotions, right, to not get blurred into this one thing where there might be loss and regret around certain things. And that doesn't negate the other side of that, where there's a lot of potential for fulfillment. And so we're navigating that space. You want to be realistic. You want to be equipped. You don't want to be naive enough to be able to try new things and go into it. But you can't take too much of that jadedness, or else, you'll shut it all out. Now, the Tower and the Devil energy, I mean, come on. They're loud. These are loud cards. What I'm getting, well, the first thing earlier, I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking, it's almost like the devil's biggest influence on us right now is saying you don't have to change that. But not that. You don't have to change that. Angel and devil on the shoulder. The reason why we would go with the devil is because they let us, it's like a cheat diet or something. But you'll be able to eat ice cream the whole time. It's like, if we're choosing poorly for ourselves, or if the universe knows that we're making choices that are not aligned with our highest good, not aligned with our highest good. The reason why we got there is because the devil offered us a better gig, to continue engaging with something that is lesser because it keeps us more comfortable away from this destabilized energy. What I'm getting off of this is that, like the monkey shaken from the tree, I mean, if he had chosen to come down himself, he'd have a less violent fall. Could take his time even. Take a little nap halfway down. But when the tower towers you, there's no choice. Because the devil is based on fear programming, it's so compelling, so very compelling to avoid certain things. That is the devil energy, right? It's the lack of integration that leads to a state of acceptance and unconditional love for the self, for others, for things as they've occurred. Anytime we engage with this energy, it helps us avoid getting closer to embodying and offering unconditional love. Give me a clarifier for the devil and the tower. I'm going to cut the deck to do it. Yeah. The Nine of Wands tells us what's underneath it. Nine of Wands tells us that, Six of Pentacles, Nine of Wands, tells us that we're feeling, and it was the Seven of Wands in the middle there, mildly defensive, protective of our assets and our identities and ourselves and things the way we think they are or how they feel, but it's not as it appears for some reason. This stubbornness around some type of change, it just doesn't even hold a candle. Do you think that this guy has anything to say that's going to matter to these energies? The answer is no. I mean, the only thing about it, though, is like, okay, well, this is the reality, perhaps, if this reading resonates with you. So then why? Why? Well, certain things you just can't rush, right? Maybe we're not meant to know. This is the hard part about being conscious. You can watch yourself, with the meme earlier about repeating the pattern. You can watch yourself do things that you're not proud of and that you want to change, and you're not excusing your behavior. You're saying, more research, market research into how I can, it's more evidence, right? It's very hard to watch yourself do things that you would prefer to not repeat in the future and not judge yourself for it. But you have to sink into the space of like, I didn't know any better at the time. If I didn't, I did it anyway, then that's what I'll commit to not doing again, right? It's just, levels of acceptance for the fact that there is resistance around leaving behind certain things that don't serve us. Now, with the Six of Pentacles, I'm kind of getting that, like, maybe you need to take it off of yourself as much, Think a little bit more about how these changes, how this is going to ripple out into your life and affect the people around you and your physical environment and your exchanges and stuff. Now, cautionary, don't work from that angle in. Well, is everybody else going to be okay with it? That comes after. I mean, some people might be not argumentative, but resistant to that and saying like, well, that's why I'm doing it. I need to think about how it's going to impact the environment of the people around me because that's why I'm doing it. Maybe that's what needs some re-examination. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but let's get what was our advice? I didn't pull advice, so we will now. I'm going to get this card. Now we're going to cut the deck and we're going to get bottom of the deck. This is our advice, all right? Wow. Guys, it's the 5 of Pentacles and this card. 6 of Swords, going somewhere new. Moving on. Do you see? I said the other day when we had the 5 of Pentacles, it's this energy that makes you want to curl up. Lie down and curl up and say, you know, maybe if I sleep long enough, this won't be real. I read from my journals the other day. That's how I constantly felt. Constantly. It's a miserable state of being. And I said, you know what? Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's your choice, you can sit down, curl up, tell the universe, I'm done. But there's no magical thing that changes that. It's then going to have to be your decision as well to get up at some point. 5 to 6, moving on. Ascension. We just have to accept some things and move on. Just to wrap it up, what I'm getting that is primarily about is memories of love. That's in the release position. Certain things we can't anticipate or draft up, and we also need to take a look at whether or not our drafts and our plans are manifesting things that we fear for no reason. So let's see what's on the top of the deck to clarify the Universe card in Judgment. Firm Foundation. Check that card out. Four of Pentacles. Doesn't this graphic with the red triangle on his back kind of make you feel a sensation in your own lumbar region? I think so. So the reason for all of this, right? Things we are resisting, big changes, is for a firmer foundation. And with that, I'm going to go. Hope everybody's well. Not the quickest energy check-in, but I just needed to talk today. So I'll be back later.